fucking awesome. Come on, it's gonna be fucking awesome. You know the words. It's gonna be fucking awesome. That's it, see. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Yeah!
Me! Icky, bazang, bazow, zooey, yow. If you've never experienced Monty Python, you probably have no fucking clue what I'm talking about. But for you people who are a little familiar with Monty Python, at least maybe the Holy Grail, which is what most people are familiar with, they're the shit. They're everything. They're my everything. I love Monty Python so much. One of my great fandoms. Continuing with this great thing of trying to add more positivity to this fucking conversation about geek culture. Yeah, you know what? A lot of the stuff kind of sucks right now, but the classics still fucking hold up. So I'm going to be doing some, like, you know, coolest of all time picks here when I'm feeling it. And I just, like, yesterday I just kind of was like, I just want to talk about Monty Python. Monty Python is so fucking funny. And if you haven't gotten into Python yet, like, dude, I'm about to blow your mind. You know, if you enjoy South Park and any of the great comedy that you see anywhere, anything that you think is great, it is influenced by Monty Python. They are such just defining comedy. They're so responsible for defining comedy, I guess I should say. The whole group of them are amazing. Graham Chapman, who passed away before, well, not before, I mean, but shortly after, you know, most of the Monty Python stuff was, you know, was made. He is incredible. But the real, like, the most brilliant man in the group, I have to say, is John Cleese. And I am a huge John Cleese fan. And I'm somebody, if you want to really just constantly be able to find the good stuff, you need to try to identify where the brilliance is coming from. You know, who is the person who you're loving the most? Have they gone on to do other projects? Have they worked on other things? You know, John Cleese, there are so many things that are sort of ancillary to Monty Python, and also Eric Idle. They are all brilliant in their own way. John Cleese is kind of my favorite of the group. I really think that he just has something fucking really special about him, and he's central to so many of the greatest sketches that they have. But all of the members of Monty Python are great in their own way, and you know, have sketches where they shine completely, and all of them just work wonderful as a group together. They are just so fucking cool. So anyway, I didn't give a proper introduction to the show. What up, Coolest Geeks? It's me, Jesse Blaze Snider, the Coolest Geek Alive, and I've come here today to gush about Monty Python and to get you into the world of Monty Python. So where do you start? Where do you start if you want to be a Monty Python fan? Well, honestly, you start with Holy Grail. If you haven't seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail, you got to watch it. It's interesting because a lot of people have a very similar sort of viewing experience to what my children had when I introduced them to it the other day. The humor is irreverent. You know, it is so often choosing to ignore some aspect of something that normally, you know, would maybe be the thing that we would all be like focusing on, but it would move ahead so that thing would define the conversation and you know, be like a great point of a example of this is there's a great sketch, and I'm not sure if it's from Flying Circus or if it's from the Meaning of Life movie. The Meaning of Life movie is a collection of some of their best sketches. Now, okay, just to frame this stuff. So they've got 4 movies, and then they've got a series called The Flying Circus, okay? So there's 4 Monty Python movies, and then The Flying Circus. The 4 movies, the first 3 are originals. Monty Python's Flying Circus, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Monty Python's Life of Brian, and then, am I missing, is it only 3 and not 4 movies? It might be 3 movies. Let me make sure, because I'm I'm blanking out if there's a third movie that I'm missing. Maybe it's not 4. I'll make sure while I'm talking to you. Anyway, the final movie that they released, I should say, is a collection of all of the Flying Circus shorts. But I'm not going to recommend you watch that movie. I'm going to recommend you watch Holy Grail, and I'm going to recommend you watch Life of Brian. I'm going to talk about both of those. And then you're going to skip The Meaning of Life until you can watch the thing. Let me see. I'm like, is it? I'm going to find out right now. Monty Python. Let's see what the IMDb says. You're sitting with me. We're just fucking figuring this shit out right now. There's The Meaning of Life. There's Life of Brian. There's Now for Something Completely Different. Yeah, see, that's what I think they put out. I think there's a 4th movie called And Now for Something Completely Different. That is the one that's the collection. Is that right? Yeah, okay. All right, sorry. It's been a minute since I fucking looked at all this stuff. They are like my favorite thing of all time. I've watched The Flying Circus at least 4 or 5 times all the way through. The last time I was watching it, I was literally trying to make a notation of all my favorite sketches so I could seek them out and find them, because there's so many little ones that I just love. A lot of this stuff kind of will go over your head, or you won't necessarily understand it because the context of like Britain and things that they're commenting on, but so many of them are just fundamental to life kind of conversations and interactions that are always not always are universally understood by anybody. So but some of the culture will get by you. If you have a hard time with the British accents, it might be a thing. It might be a deal breaker for you. I've had some people who just can't understand what they're saying or whatever it is. But really, you just start with one and try to, if you can try to get into Holy Grail, watch Holy Grail a bunch, and then you'll have a little bit of a ear for the language. And then Life of Brian. And Life of Brian's so good. I can't wait to talk about Life of Brian. All right, I'm going to talk about all of them in a second. Let's like fucking... Hey, Siri, how many movies did Monty Python release?
Okay, I found this on the web. For how many movies did Monty Python release? Check it out.
Yeah, thanks, Siri. You're the best. I didn't think that I wouldn't be able to remember, but I'm not sure. I thought it was 4, but now I'm like, okay, yeah. And Now for Something Completely Different in 71, Monty Python and the Holy Grail in 75, Life of Brian in 79, and The Meaning of Life in 83. Okay, cool. So this is the actual order of these things was different than I thought it was. And then there's Monty Python Live at the Hollywood Bowl, which is great. Oh, Live at the Hollywood Bowl is great. The best rendition of one of my favorite sketches that they have called Luxury. Me and my ex-wife Patty, we still to this day will reference Luxury. It's so fucking funny. The sketch is just about these 4 old dudes getting together and talking about the old days and how tough they had it. And the young kids of today, they don't know. But what happens very quickly is they begin to outdo each other with their stories. And then the first one who told his story first, before he got to hear everybody else's story, he starts changing his story. He's like, well, what I meant was, it was really, really tough because I this and this. And then everybody else starts changing their stories. And by the end of it, it's just this insanity where they're like, when I got up in the morning, my father would cut us in 2 with a bread knife. It's so over the top and ridiculous. One of my favorite fucking sketches of all time. And I think it was originally in The Flying Circus. So The Flying Circus was their TV show that was on the BBC, and they had I think 5 seasons. I had them on DVD, and I used to watch them over and over and over and over again. And I would just put them on in the background all the time. And then when the ones that would come on that I really loved, I would just be like, oh my God, and I'd laugh my ass off. And I mean, they never get old because the premises are just so fucking gloriously bonkers and over the top that they just really remain funny. If you've seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail, or just know any references from it, like the freaking Killer Rabbit. The Killer Rabbit, it's just a... There's just so many moments from that bit, when it starts out and they're looking at this rabbit. This guy's getting them all worked up about this rabbit, and he's like, "What? It's a rabbit?" And the dude says, "Look at the bones. Look at the bones." I just love that line. There's so many fucking lines in that fucking movie that are so great. So Monty Python's Flying Circus, it's their original sketch show. And then they did a movie which was a collection of their greatest sketches. And then they did eventually Live at the Hollywood Bowl, which was lots of their greatest moments, like all in this live show. So there are different versions of a lot of these sketches, and some of them you will find like I realized actually my favorite Dead Parrot sketch is on one of the Monty Python albums. I don't know if you can find the Monty Python albums. I didn't go on to Spotify to see if you can find it. I bet you can, especially the songs, because Eric Idle has written a lot of songs for them. He's done a lot of great comedy songwriting. As a Monty Python person. I'll probably cover him on All Your Favorite Bands Suck at some point. Obviously at the end, if you've seen Life of Brian, some people have now been turned on to it on Broadway or whatever. I forget what it's called on Broadway. I know they do the song Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. I forget exactly how it all ties into the thing, but always look on the bright side of life. Did it. It's a great fucking song. Eric Idle's awesome. He's probably maybe I think Michael Palin is just so fucking funny. Michael Palin is probably my second favorite, but I love Eric Idle as well. He's maybe my third favorite of the Pythons. Everybody's got different favorite Pythons because they're all fucking awesome though. No disrespect to any of them. Anyway, what I'm saying is there's a lot of different versions of some of these sketches. So I don't recommend watching that and now for something completely different movie, because I really feel like almost none of the sketches are as good as the versions of them in the Flying Circus where they were originally presented. So we're gonna you can watch that last or maybe never. It's not bad, it's just not as great as the Flying Circus stuff. So number one thing that you're going to watch Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And let me tell you about my experience watching it with my kids, just to prepare yourself or whatever else for the humor that you're going to put on. So I put it on for my kids, and I'm sorry, I got so excited about this, I skipped over the thing that I was going to explain of what you could expect, joke-wise or whatever. There's a great sketch, and I do think it's from The Meaning of Life, the third film, original for them. It's actually got some of my favorite sketches in it, this film, even though it's maybe the weirdest. All their movies are great, but Meaning of Life is definitely a weird one, so we're going to save that one for a second. Maybe we'll watch that after we watch Flying Circus and Life of Brian and Holy Grail. But there's an amazing sketch at the beginning of it of this army general, British Army general, about to bring his men over the mount, to go into the battle. Things are getting really hairy. Bullets are going off. All right, man, we gotta go. And right before they're about to go, his second in command stops him and goes, "Wait, sir, we wanted to do something for your birthday." we got what and he's like, "I don't know if it's a great time." He's like, "Well, really, men," and basically the men start getting insulted that he doesn't want to take the time to accept their gifts, and they've got him these absurd gifts. They've got him clocks. They're on the battlefield. One of the clocks gets shot up. They've made him a cake, and there's this terrible sob story, and it's the most absurd thing. It's basically the most insane version of this is really a bad time. But this is really a bad time for this. Have you ever had that happen when, somebody's trying to talk to you about something that's really just not a great moment? It's really just not a great moment. But this is the most extreme version of this is really just not a great moment, which is their fucking comedy. It's just it's so often just this situation that is tweaked into extremity. Extremity would be like an extremity of your body. Can you say extremity? I'm not sure. I'm not going to open up the dictionary to find out. But absurdist is, of course, other terms that they use to describe this stuff. But it is definitely irreverent and sort of almost bizarre. And when you're a child, or if you have sort of a childlike mind where you are kind of looking to other people for your reactions, and you're how am I supposed to react? I don't know how to react to this. This is so strange. And some people will have a little bit of that reaction. And my children definitely had that reaction. Some of the most classic scenes that you might have heard of, like the Black Knight, and and they're chopping his leg off, and he's hopping around, and my children were sort of just like, what is going on right now? And the knights who say knee, and they're just like, this is so strange. And the rabbits and the witch, and we're weighing the witch and all this stuff, and they were really kind of watching it like with their mouths open. But then all of a sudden, and for those of you who have watched the movie already, this is like so funny for you. But for those of you who haven't watched it, you're probably like, what the fuck? You'll know soon. We get to the scene with the Bridge of Death. And the bridge keeper in the scene there, the bridge keeper says to them, and he's very, so much of the stuff in Monty Python, like, and everything, and like, this is what most comedy has learned from Monty Python, is you play shit straight. You have like a bizarre premise or something bizarre that's going on, but everybody reacts normally. That's what makes it funny. You react like it's relatively normal. So, very rooted. There's like this real dude played by Terry Gilliam. And Terry Gilliam is like the unsung Python who's often in the sketches. He's an American guy who is also a brilliant filmmaker. And he started here with the Pythons, writing and working with them and animating, doing all these like little animations that connect the dots between different scenes. Like if you've seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail, there's lots of different animations that are in there. Those were done by Terry Gilliam, who went on to be a very successful filmmaker. It still is. So he says, those approaching the Bridge of Death must answer me these questions 3, or the other side he sees. And they're like terrified, especially the knight played by Eric Idle, who is like, that's his whole thing, that he's terrified, and everybody just wants to get the hell out of there. And the one of the brave knights goes up and he answers the questions. And the questions are, what is your name? Guy gives his name. What is your favorite color? No, he says, no, what is your quest? I seek the grail. He says, what is your favorite color? And he goes, blue. And the guy goes, all right, off you go. So he goes through. So my kids are like, huh, because they're scared. Because they still don't know, like, is this serious? Should I be frightened? It's this bridge keeper's scary. This is serious. And so then the next guy goes, the cowardly guy goes, that's easy. And he goes running out. He goes, ask me the questions, bridge keeper. I'm not afraid. He's like, What's your name? He said, my name's this. He said, what's your quest? He says, I seek the grail. He says, what's the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? He goes, what? I don't know that. Ah! He gets thrown off into the ditch, and my kids lose their fucking minds. They finally realize, this is funny. Hey, wait. This is funny. This is supposed to be funny. And they are laughing for the rest of the fucking movie. And for this sketch in particular, which was so funny to them that literally my youngest daughter, who's 7 now, but she was like 5 maybe at the time that we watched this thing. The next day, she stops me in the kitchen and she goes, stop! Those who approaching the Bridge of Death must answer me these questions 3, or the other side he see. I was just, and they made me rewatch it. They rewound it multiple times, whatever. This is the power of Monty Python. I give it to you. I give you the power of Monty Python. It's the greatest. It's the greatest fucking power. Monty Python. I'm so excited. I feel like Julie has not dug in deeply enough to Monty Python, and it's happening. It's happening. She's getting a whole bunch of Python, especially because I reminded myself of all my favorite sketches and shit. So now it's on. But Monty Python and the Holy Grail is just the shit. And I hesitate to sit here and like spoil stuff, but I mean I can't really spoil it because it's all this timing and just it's perfection. It's they're all just geniuses in comedy. They are. If you love comedy like I do, I love comedy. It's just the stuff. It's the greatest stuff there is, and it's the stuff that you just have to maybe be a little smart to understand in some ways, and it's just it's next level, and everything wonderful that you see in comedy comes from it. Going into the next movie is like more important to me than Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I find it so important because it lampoons and pokes holes in religion in a way that it had not ever been done before and has rarely been done since. My comic book, King of Kings, is completely inspired by Life of Brian, even though it's a very different thing. But, you know, what is done in Life of Brian, just to give some proper perspective to religion and religious ideas, is just wonderful. The expansion of the mind in different ways of looking at the subject and having a sense of humor about the subject is just off the fucking chain, like, important. And then on top of that, it is funny. It's a funny fucking movie. I mean, one of the greatest sketch in the whole film, and I mean, you know, essentially the movies end up playing as like lots of, you know, kind of sketches like tied together loosely with a story or whatever. But the opening sketch with the stoning is just fuck. If you haven't seen The Life of Brian, I mean, that scene alone, everybody should see. And there's so many aspects of it that are so great. So historically, the women were not allowed to go to the stonings. But there would be public stonings of people who had committed crimes, and everybody would throw stones at them and kill them. And the dude, Brian, is being brought down with his mother, who has put on a fake beard to go to the stoning. And as the proceedings occur, you begin to understand that all of the people there are women who have come to the stonings. And they're in disguise. And they're disguising their voices. And of course, it's even funnier because it's all these men playing women disguised as men, pretending to be men. Playing women, if you understand what I'm saying. There's this great moment where John Cleese, who's like the leader, you know, of the stoning thing, goes, "Are there any women here?" and they go, "No, no, 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 no." Because earlier they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, no, 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 no. And even the stoning, the whole fucking part with the guy, the stoning, he's getting stoned because he said Jehovah. And you weren't allowed to say the name of their Lord or whatever. And he was like, all I said was, this piece of halibut is good enough for Jehovah. And John Cleese says, yes, he did it again. You're only making it worse for yourself. And he says, worse? How could I possibly make this any worse? Jehovah, Jehovah, Jehovah. He's screaming Jehovah. I love Monty Python. This shit is gold. It's so good. It's so good. The one that me and my dad would always be, just we fucking still. The last time I talked to him, we were joking about the freaking. There's this scene in the Colosseum where the group, because Brian basically he gets involved with a group of what do you call it, like revolutionaries, and the revolutionaries start talking about other revolutionary groups. They're the People's Front of Judea, not the Judean People's Front, or it might be the other way around. And then, of course, somebody says, "I thought we were the popular Front of Judea." He's like, No. He's like, we're the People's Front of Judea. He's like, whatever happened to that? He's over there and is by himself. And there's one guy who's the popular group of Judea, and they yell at him, "Splitters!" because he split from the group. And this is just a very simple thing about like the groups and groupthink and splitting. And I made a similar joke in the Fucking for Our Future comic book that I made that I'm working on right now. That there's a women's group that goes up, separates from the men, and the women at some point they separate at a certain time as they keep like changing their names to different honoring different things, and then they split up into two groups because they can't agree. This is the what do you call it? The natural sort of progression of these groups, because what happens is they break down into little groups that feel really strongly about certain things but can't get what they want from the larger group, and then the groups split apart into little things, which is why at the end of the day we need to stop so much of our group think, and we need to think as a group that is different, and start trying to be more accommodating to each other so that we can all get what we want, instead of trying to take what we want for ourselves at the expense of other people, which just, if you deny other people what they want, that leads to revolutions and shit. And we don't want any more revolutions on planet Earth. So, whether you like it or not, you got to kind of give everybody what they want personally so that you can get what you want personally. That's that kind of thing that we learn, though, from seeing this sort of jokes. When you play these jokes of these ridiculous notions of these groups splitting apart, and the popular front is these guys over here, and there's another group that's split apart that they're rivals, which they're going to run into later when they're doing their job, and they're fighting amongst themselves, the groups. This is what happens, historically. And so great ways to talk about these things and make jokes about these things. The whole movie is just hysterical. Hysterical, and really has a lot to say. It ends with that classic that classic song, Always Look on the Bright Side of Life, which is just incredible. It's not a musical. It just happens to end with that song. They sing that song on the crosses when they get crucified. It's spectacular. It's a spectacular film. So from here, I would say, if you're like really digging the great stuff and you really want to do more, go into the Flying Circus. Okay? The Flying Circus is 5 seasons, and perhaps it would be good to watch season 2 through 4 if you're, you really want to make sure you're entertained right off the bat and can get into it easily, because they're probably finding their footing a little bit in the first season. I seem to remember noting that maybe the first season wasn't my favorite, even though there was plenty of great stuff in it. There are some episodes that are okay, and then there are episodes that are pretty mind-blowing, and then your average episode has at least half mind-blowing shit, and the other half is okay, but it's all fun, it's all silly, and if you can get into the vibe of it, I think you can really enjoy it. And again, it takes a little bit of a learning curve with your ear, for the vernacular and the accents. But I did it. Plenty of people have done it. It's so fucking great. It's worth it. Some sketches that we can talk about, just to point you to some things, or to give you some reasons why this fucking material is just so damn great. And by the way, I should just say, Life of Brian. Brian is a Jesus, sort of Masonic figure in the movie. And that's where so much of the great allegory and other things come, because there's a lot of deeper reasons why it's so worth a think, and thought has been put into it by them. They're all very smart guys. I used to know they're fucking what colleges they went to and stuff. I read about them and stuff. That John Cleese is one of my heroes, but all of them are idols of mine. And I was very interested in Monty Python. But I just haven't dug into that stuff in a long time, so I'm sure things will come to my head as I talk about various things. But I just I don't know for sure where they went to school and all that, but they are quite well educated, and that's how they got themselves together in the first place. So I want to talk about some of the sketches that are just favorites of mine, and I didn't make like some like crazy list or anything, because like honestly, I don't want you to go like flip around. I don't think a lot of the lists are very good. Like when I go to some of like the best Monty Python sketches, like I have not been pleased with the lists. So much of the great stuff tends to get missed, and maybe a lot of the ones that I'm going to focus on are some of the ones that don't necessarily get missed. But it's, you know, like there's one that I pulled out at the end that is so fucking great, and I didn't even remember it, and I'm sure I've seen it many times, stuff like that. But it's these mafia guys. And they're sitting around and they're like planning their crime, and when you hear the whole crime play out, you realize that there's no real crime taking place. They've just bought something, you know, like they've made a plan to buy something, and then one of the guys suggests like, "Hey boss, maybe we could steal the thing," and he's like, "Hey, they're not going to give it to us if we don't pay." He's like, instead of paying for it, he's like, "We're not going to give it to us if we don't pay for it." and the sketch kind of just like goes off the rails from there, continuing this thing of them like not wanting to break the law, or the main guy not wanting to break the law, even though they're all kind of like, really, maybe we could just break the law a little bit. Maybe we could not pay the parking meter, all these kind of things. It's quite funny, and it's a relatively short sketch, and that's maybe part of the reason why some of the sketches don't like end up as on the greatest hits list, because there'll be like a 2-minute sketch or something relatively short. But oh my god, there's just so many great ones, and I'm not going to name all of them. I'm really just going to say you should watch Flying Circus. Like, you want to be a fucking cool geek, you want people to be like, oh, you're cool, like fucking know your Monty Python, yo. Be able to quote some Python, then you're cool. Like when I know people are Python fans, I just immediately go, oh yes, I can play with them. They can be my friend. So if you want to be friends with the Coolest Geek Alive, fucking know your Python. So one of my favorite sketches from the bit, which is a little bit less well known, from the Flying Circus, is called The Cheese Shop. And I was devastatedly disappointed when I submitted all of these sketches, because I was a big comedy guy, submitted tons of my favorite sketches to my high school, what do you call it? Like the theater group, who puts on every year, they would do a sketch thing. And it was my senior year, and I was like, I'm going to get some sketches that I want to see in this year's sketch comedy thing. So I just like printed out a ton of them, and I brought them down to them. I wasn't even in the sketch show. I was just like, I want to see them do some sketches that I would like to see. And they did The Cheese Shop, and they butchered it. They thought that the joke was like, that they were making a silly list of cheese, and the list of cheese was just going on for forever, and they literally broke it up into 3 parts, where we go back to the cheese shop, where they're still boringly listing cheese. Like, it was so stupid. That's not what the cheese shop sketch is about. The cheese shop sketch is about this guy coming into a cheese shop to get some cheese, and they don't have any. And the guy keeps kind of making it like they have some, but then mysteriously, oh, nope, sorry, we're out of that too, and we're out of this, and we're out of that, and we're out of that. And the guy's just sort of getting exasperated, because there's a store, and there's a man, and he's trying to buy some cheese, and they don't have any cheese at the cheese shop. So how is this a cheese shop? It's a cheese shop without any cheese. It's really fucking hysterical. And these girls who did, these 2 girls performed or whatever, and I don't know if it was like up to them to figure out that like how to play the sketch, and or the director didn't get it as well. But whatever, like they did not get it, and they didn't do the sketch well. So that was a bummer. I was like, oh my god, you're making Monty Python look bad, because the cheese shop is fucking hysterical. Also, the Dead Parrot sketch. I thought that I was a big fan of the original. I'm realizing that I'm the biggest fan, I think, of a version that they've put on record, which is very good and just has all the best deliveries. Some of their material on record, I think, is maybe the best of their material. And I think it may be because of Eric Idle, who's very lyrical. And I think, he just knows what sounds right. And that's some of my favorite places too. The distraction of how it looks and whatever else, just to hear them talk, to just listen to some of the Monty Python records. I had like a double CD that had tons of music on it, but tons of their best sketches. And some of the sketches even that I wasn't necessarily like a fan of when I had heard them originally on the Flying Circus or whatever it was that I had heard them. But on the CD, the way they had been laid out and put together by Eric Idle, who's been producing these. And like I said, he's a musician, songwriter or whatever. He is really super talented. So I'm looking here on Spotify, for instance, and, I'm seeing some things up here. I see songs. It looks like a lot of his music is available. Eric Idle's music that he's written for all of these what do you call it? Various things, movies, sketches, and then I think he just likes to write music. So sometimes he writes music, and he's put out some of these comedy music albums that also contained Monty Python sketches as little connecting pieces. You would have to find some of those things. There are some amazing ones. I really recommend them. This is cool. If you go on to Spotify and you want to listen to some of these songs, they are great. There's a song on here called "I Like Chinese." It's very funny. If you're not somebody who's like hypersensitive to like racism, whatever. I know Eric Idle's not racist. It's just sort of a silly song, very funny. It's not like in interpretations are racist, but ultimately the song's called "I Like Chinese." It's just very playful. But his stuff is all great. It's an older sensibility, so maybe there might be some stuff that would be like, you'd be like, oh, I don't know, this is passe. But fuck that shit, really. It's funny, and he's funny. Eric Idle's very funny. The music that would be available is great. I bet that some of these albums that I'm telling you about are available on YouTube if you go and you look them up. It is a great way to do it. If you ever found any of those or wanted to order them, if you still have a CD player, I would recommend order some of those comedy albums. Just put those on because they're really well curated and filled with some of the best sketches of Monty Python. That might be actually one of the best ways for you to get into them, honestly, to listen to some of those awesome records, including all this great funny music. So I would highly recommend that. Anyway, continuing down some of my favorite sketches. Obviously, I was saying the parrot sketch is great, but the version of it in the album is greater. The version on Flying Circus, though, is the next best, better than the one in their collection movie, Now for Something Completely Different. Another great sketch from the original that's better than the one in the Now for Something Completely Different is Self-Defense against fruit. How to defend yourself when a man attacks you with a banana, and they keep asking for advanced what about if they attack you with a pointed stick? A pointed stick, the sketch is really ridiculous, and. There's like a point where he's demonstrating if they attack with he's gonna shoot them. What if you don't have a gun? Well, run. Run for it. The sketches, oh my god, I want you to watch them. I want you to watch them, and I want you to write me a nice letter, and I want you to say, Jesse, I'm so grateful that you turned me on to Monty Python because I didn't know what I was missing. I was a stupid fool, but now I laugh a lot. Yo, seriously, do it. One of my other favorite sketches called The Argument. This guy goes into this establishment that offers arguments, and he comes in and he says, is this a room for the argument? And the guy says, I told you once. He says, no, you didn't. He says, yes, I did. No, you didn't. Yes, I did.
No, I came here for an argument. Yes, you did. And I told you, or whatever it is. I forget. But basically, the guy's arguing with him the whole time about whether or not he came there for an argument and whether or not he told him. And he says, I don't want to argue about this. And he says, look, I came here for an argument. This is just contradiction. The guy says, no, it isn't. He says, yes, it is. An argument is a thing. Like, it's really fucking funny. It's a great sketch. He goes for an argument, but he doesn't like the type of argument. He wants to have a different argument. He doesn't want to have this argument. And that's sort of just something that I can relate to as well. It's like, how often have you been in an argument and you find yourself arguing about something that I'm like, fuck, I'm arguing about something now that I didn't want to argue about this. I was looking to argue about this other thing. You know, like, it's just fucking hysterical. It's a great sketch. I'm like, you know, hopefully this episode of me just laughing to myself as I remember these sketches and how much I enjoy them is not horrible for you as entertainment. One of the other bits, which I'm pretty positive is from the Flying Circus originally, and because I don't think it's from Meaning of Life. No, I think it's in the collection of their best stuff. But it's originally from the Flying Circus, and it is the world's funniest joke. And the world's funniest joke is just amazing. Basically, it's so funny that it kills you. And the joke has to be translated, from by scientists into German so that they could send the joke over across the lines, and so that the Germans would read the joke. And basically, and there's like this whole bit of like one of the scientists who were translating the joke in pieces saw 2 lines of the joke or 2 words of the joke and spent a week in a coma. He just saw 2 words of the funniest joke. And of course, you never find out the joke. It's too dangerous for you to find out the joke. You would die. But they translate the joke into German. And of course, I forgot. I actually looked up what the joke was at some point. Wait a second. We're going to do it right now. German translation of world's funniest Monty Python joke. Let's see if I can find it. It's so funny though, the way they have the sketch. They're like, they're throwing the freaking joke across state lines. The V joke is not German at all. German Wikipedia quotes. Let's see, where is it? This is made up to sound like German, but doesn't make any sense. It's obvious the joke had to be modified beyond distinction. Way too dangerous otherwise. The world's funniest Monty Python joke. Yeah. All right. No translations. It's just what a fucking concept. What a great concept of a deadly joke. The killer joke, and just the whole story, because it's done like a documentary, and it's just so fucking good. I love it. I love that sketch. I love Monty Python. They're so smart. The concepts that they have. I mean, like, Monty Python is probably the most influential person, creative people like in my life. King of Kings. That is, I wouldn't. I don't think that necessarily would have came out with me, or not in that way necessarily. And the style of it, the way we drew it and everything, like, it was totally Monty Python influenced. Oh, by the way, if you donated to the King of Kings thing, oh my goodness, it's been a little freaking annoying with my printer. I don't want to like trash them, but like, I don't know, we got off on the wrong foot, and they've just been like really not coming through. But the book's finally printed. Everything's done, and it's getting sent out to me this week, and I'm really excited because I believe I'm going to be able to send it out next week. So yes. So excited about that. And like, I'm kind of glad I had like a crappy experience this time around with the printer, because like never again. I'm like so like embarrassed like how long it freaking took, and like it was like out of my hands. But at the same time, like, I gotta like figure out how to get it. I don't know, get it all ready. So like it's like ready to freaking go as soon as my damn campaign comes to an end or something, whatever it is. Anyway, it's coming, and I'm really excited to launch Fucking for Our Future, which is so cool. Things are awesome. I have a music video that comes out tonight for Dilf USA, who do our lovely theme song. It's called Money Ain't Funny. It's actually a really funny video that me and my girl Julie did about the strikes, the WGA strikes that recently happened. Basically, I'll say it shows what they were doing inside for 149 days as they negotiated on behalf of the unions. And you're not going to be happy when you find out what they were doing. It's really funny. It comes out tonight. Dilf USA, Money Ain't Funny. It'll be on Spotify and all those platforms and stuff like that. Check that out too. Anyway, let's get back to Monty Python. The funniest joke is incredible. I love that one. Also, a great Eric Idle song in the sketches is the Lumberjack song, and it's so fucking funny. I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. I drink all night and I work all night and I sleep all day. I cut down trees. I eat my lunch. I go to the lavatory. On Wednesdays I go shopping and have buttered scones for tea. And the sketch is basically just he slowly gets sort of gayer and gayer, and he's got this tough burly group of lumberjacks singing his background vocals, and gradually they can't get behind him anymore. They keep sort of going, what? Like what? On Wednesdays I go shopping and I put on women's clothing and hang around in bars. And hang around in bars? It's really fucking funny. And the song, just kind of keeps on stopping and starting because his backing band isn't actually all for it. Shit's hysterical. Beyond that, another favorite, and this is kind of like a ongoing sketch in an episode of Monty Python, and it's so great, and it's just something that you'll reference in your life over and over again if it imprints on you. But it's the Spanish Inquisition, and they would just burst through the door into some other sketch, and they'd be like, well, I didn't expect the Spanish Inquisition, and then all of a sudden a wall would burst open, and this guy with these other two guys would come out, and he would say, nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Our chief weapon is surprise and fear. Our chief weapons are surprise and fear, and an almost fanatical devotion to the Pope. Amongst our weaponry, and he would keep correcting himself. How many weapons amongst our weaponry? Our weaponry is our chief fanatical devotion to the Pope, and he would have to keep starting over. It was very funny. Just the simple bit of the nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. It never gets old. So many of their best things, they never get old. They just never get old. That's the wonderful thing about Monty Python. Great Monty Python just never fucking gets old. So if any of this shit ends up connecting with you, you're just going to be laughing about it for the rest of your life. So I'm doing you such a favor right now. Thank me. Kiss my tushy. You don't have to kiss my tushy. I love you. I really do. My favorite thing in life is sharing entertainment with people. I like going to the movies with people. I like showing people movies that I love. I love it. I've gotten into horror because Julie loves horror, and Cassidy loves horror, my son, and other friends of mine love horror, and it's just I've been a little into horror because other friends of mine liked horror, and then when my son liked horror, it was all right, fuck it, So now I like horror, and I watch lots of horror shit, and I enjoy it, and I geek out on that with them, enjoying things together. It's just so wonderful. That's the thing about continuity and getting these things right in films, Marvel films, and all this stuff. It's we're trying to enjoy this together, and the more you change it, the less the experience is uniform and similar. The old school Star Wars fans want to enjoy the new school Star Wars and feel like they're all together, like it's all in alignment. When you change it too much from the source, all of a sudden it creates a rift between the one thing and the other thing. And the connection that these things bring for us all and bring us together. Like I said, when I hear somebody loves Monty Python, I'm like, you can be my friend. Done. You like Monty Python? You'll get my sense of humor. Let's enjoy being friends. Fuck yeah. You know? That's it. It's that simple. And I know for some of you guys who like, even, you know, even if it's like, I love Holy Grail, you know, like that's enough. But, there's so much deeper to go. There's so much deeper shit. What else do I got here? I talked about that little mafia thing. Okay, that's all I'm going to talk about, like specifics wise for Flying Circus. Just like there's tons more though. Tons more. Tons more. You won't regret it. It's really, really worth your time. Watch the Flying Circus. So Holy Grail, Life of Brian, Flying Circus. Okay. And then, or, you know, maybe you can watch The Meaning of Life if you want to watch another movie. The Meaning of Life might be the next thing after Flying Circus for me to recommend to you. The Meaning of Life is set up as like, it kind of just, it's trying to kind of say some things about life and death, and it literally just starts with life and goes on through. It's an amazing song at the beginning called Every Sperm is Sacred, and it has to do with like religious viewpoints at earlier times, you know, of just like not using condoms because, you know, every sperm was sacred, and then there were these families that just had incredible amounts of children because you know, because they weren't using any protection and they were having lots of sex, and you know, these expanding families were you know, just doing God's work. Every sperm is sacred. If a sperm is wasted, God is quite irate. Every sperm is sacred. Every sperm. It's amazing. It's a dance number. It's huge. It's insane. It's crazy over the top. There are a number of sketches in there that are amazing. I told you about the one with the military guy being given the birthday presents in the middle of the battlefield and people being killed all around them, and they're literally like the worst possible time for this cake. This is their section on war. There's a section on death. There's a great bit at the end that I like. I really like the song at the end of the movie. Oh, forget that, how that one goes or whatever. But it's all just fun. Some of it's weird and silly, but it generally contains some of my favorite sketches. The sketch that's sometimes referenced where the guy is being overfed, and he explodes in his chair, and he's just like, I couldn't eat another thing, and he just goes, it's wafer thin, and he gives him the little piece of food, and the guy's like vomiting, and it's really gross. It's gross. There's definitely some like really weird ass shit in The Meaning of Life. But mixed within The Meaning of Life are some amazingly funny sketches, and it is worth checking out, especially if you become a Monty Python fan. My favorite in particular, perhaps my favorite Monty Python sketch of all, is the, well, I would call it the tiger sketch. Basically, it starts off with another scene where they have there's a war going on, and basically everybody's fighting on behalf of these British generals who aren't doing shit, and everybody's fighting and dying, and there's blood everywhere, and the Africans are dying, and the soldiers are dying, and they're just like going about their day because one of their generals is missing a leg, and he's very calm about it. Just woke up and his leg's gone. And there's a hole in his net, and the leg is gone. So they get it in their head that they're looking for a tiger, and that a tiger must have taken his leg. So they go out into the safari, and they try to find the tiger that took his leg. And they find a tiger in the bush. And when they go to shoot, all of a sudden, two guys run out of the bush wearing a tiger costume. One of them has a tiger tail, and the other one has the tiger head on his head. And they're like, what are you doing here? And like, and they start making up strange stories about what they're doing there. And finally they go, did you take this guy's leg? And they go, what? Do we look like the type of people who would break into a tent in the middle of the night, anesthetize a person, and run off with a leg? And finally he goes, search the thicket. And as soon as the guy says that they're going to go search, he goes, Oh, a leg. Did you say a leg? There might be a leg back there. It's Eric Idle and Michael Palin. And Michael Palin, like this, for his because he's like mostly, like he's talking a little bit, but he's really led by Eric Idle, who's the head, but as the tail in this scenario, as these two guys who have been caught doing something very peculiar. The least of which you could call peculiar. The way this conversation plays out and the way it goes back and forth with the fucking thing. Can I pull it up? I'm going to see if I can just like pull it up as like a great thing for you guys. And I'm going to talk about a couple other things to wrap up the show. Like I said, you might like to eventually watch the and now for something completely different film, which is a collection of all of the Monty Python sketches that were kind of most popular in the Flying Circus. All of them redone. And like I said, I don't think any of the redos are any better. And I don't think, generally speaking, there's anything in there that is new. Except maybe some connective tissue or whatever of like what ties the whole thing together. It is good and fun or whatever because those sketches are good and fun, but really the place to see them is there. There is some more stuff beyond Monty Python that I'm going to get into in a minute to wrap up the show, but I want to play you this sketch. So the guy's lost his leg. They go searching into the wilderness. They find these guys. Oops, sorry. I got to play a fucking commercial for Monopoly. Fuck you, Monopoly. All right. So they go into the thicket. They're searching through. Here they come. Let's do it. I'll let it play.
Sorry, sir.
I might make a little bit of noise in the background so that like I don't get hit with like a copyright strike or whatever here or there. So laughing and shit, so forgive me. But this is from the movie Monty Python, The Meaning of Life. And this is my favorite Monty Python bit ever. Okay, here we are.
My God, it's huge.
Okay, so they shoot at it. It looks huge because it's two guys. So now they run out.
Don't shoot. We're not a tiger.
Michael Palin.
We were just, Why are you dressed as a tiger? Oh, why? Oh, isn't it a lovely day today? Answer the question. Oh, we were just...
Actually, we're dressed like this because... Oh, no, that's not it.
Oh, we did it for a lark, part of a spree. High spirits, you know, simple as that.
Nothing more to it. Well, actually, we're on a mission for British intelligence. There's a pro-Tsarist Ashanti chief...
No.
No,
We're doing an advertisement.
That's it. Forget about the Russians. We're doing an advert for Tiger brand coffee.
Tiger brand coffee is a real treat. Even tigers prefer a cup of it to real meat. Now, look. All right. We are dressed as a tiger because he had an auntie who did it in 1839, and this is the 50th anniversary.
No, we're doing it for a bet.
God told us to do it.
To tell the truth, we are completely mad. We're inmates of a Bengali psychiatric institution, and we escaped by making this skin out of old used cereal packets.
It doesn't matter.
What?
Doesn't matter.
This is the
why
guy
they're
who
dressed
lost
as a
his leg.
tiger. Have they got my leg?
They got my leg.
Good thinking. Well, have you? Actually, yes. It's because we were thinking of training as taxidermists, and we want to get the feel of it from the animal's point of view.
Be quiet. Now look, we're just asking you if you've got this man's leg. A wooden leg?
No, a proper leg. Look, he was fast asleep, and someone or something came in and removed it.
Without waking him up?
Yes?
I don't believe you.
We found the tiger skin in a bicycle shop in Cairo. The owner wanted it taken down to Dar es Salaam. Shut up!
This is
Now,
just
look,
so fucking
have you
amazing.
or have you not got
Okay, I'm going
his
to break
leg?
this down in a second.
Yes.
No.
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 No. Why did you say yes?
I didn't.
I'm not talking to you. Right, search the thicket.
Oh, come on. I mean, do we look like the sort of chaps who'd creep into a camp at night, steal into someone's tent, anesthetize them, tissue type them, amputate a leg and run away with it? Search the thicket. Oh, leg! You're looking for a leg. Actually, I think there is one in there somewhere.
So, do you see what happened there? This is why I love this fucking sketch so much, because there is a reversal of the fucking absurdity that goes on. First, it's absurd that this man has lost a leg without waking up, all these things. They find these people in the woods. This is absurd. They're tigers. They're making up this story. They have like 50 different stories about what they're doing there. You don't even necessarily think that they are responsible for the leg at all. And then he says, we got the guy's leg. And they're like, he lost his leg? So now they're questioning the credibility of whether or not the leg could have even been removed in the first place, but in a very credible way. And then within a few moments of that, you find out, oh no, they do have the leg. it's just fucking. I love that sketch. I love that sketch so much. I love Monty Python so much. You should be a Monty Python fan. Beyond Monty Python, there's some great things that I would like to recommend, and I'm gonna keep it to 3 fucking perfect things that I'm going to recommend. The first of them is a television show called Fawlty Towers. It's written by John Cleese and Connie Stevens, I think, or Connie. A lady writing partner that he used to write with. That show is, they've actually done other stuff as well that I would recommend as well, but I'm just keeping the focus on Fawlty Towers. If you enjoy that, dig into more stuff that John Cleese has been involved in any way, especially as a writer. He's just a brilliant writer. But Fawlty Towers is such a great show. It's an old style British sitcom, but it is really genuinely funny. Basil Fawlty is his character that he plays, and Basil Fawlty is somebody who desperately wants to be bigger than he is, look bigger than he is, have a more glamorous life than he is, hates and doesn't appreciate the life that he has, and is constantly getting himself into trouble by being this stupid, superficial blowhard. And it is just, all the jokes are ultimately at his expense in a fabulous way. It is a very, very funny show. I highly recommend Fawlty Towers. Second and third are 2 films that are kind of in like a series with one another. They are Fierce Creatures and A Fish Called Wanda. A Fish Called Wanda is more well-known. Fierce Creatures is a similar team worked on it, similar actors worked on it, and it is also very funny. John Cleese plays in the movie. Michael Palin plays in the movie. Kevin Kline plays in the movie, who I'm a very big fan of. A Fish Called Wanda is amazing. Most people remember that one with, what's her name? From Trading Places. Her name keeps... Jamie something. Jamie Lee Curtis. That's her name. Jamie Lee Curtis. A Fish Called Wanda is really awesome. It's just sort of like about a criminal and a girl named Wanda, basically, who's like kind of like multiple people love, and there's her friend. It's an ensemble. It's a really cool movie. It's been a while since I watched Fish Called Wanda. I have trouble breaking down the plot quickly. Fierce Creatures takes place around a zoo, and like a new person who gets brought in to fix the zoo, and like sort of a lot of shenanigans and sex and stuff that's going on. Both movies are very funny. I highly recommend them. Now, those 3 things are like the biggest things I recommend that maybe like are like spiritual successors to Monty Python or whatever that continue this sort of thing. But I will point to just a couple other things just to sum it up. Every member of this group is very talented. They all have different things that they do that I've become aware of because they're good. Whether it's odd little film roles and whatnot. If you get into the Python people, you will find that Eric Idle has a breadth of really interesting things that he's done since. John Cleese has a very interesting breadth of things that he's done since. Terry Gilliam, in particular, is very interesting with the movies that he's directed, like Brazil and others. I think 12 Monkeys is another one of his. the Monty Python people are really awesome, and there's just really no end to the talent that was pouring out of their bodies then and still is pouring out of their bodies now. Go listen to friggin' John Cleese say anything. That man just has comedic timing for days. He's just so fucking great. I mean, they're worth their weight in gold as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, Monty Python is the shit. You should be a Monty Python fan. Get into this stuff. Get into these guys. Worship at their altars. They are all fucking just the greatest, some of the greatest comedy minds of all time. And if you're not aware of that really deeply, you should be. Anyway, I'm Jesse Blaze Snider, the coolest geek alive. I love you, coolest geeks. Please, you can write me at jesseblaze@jessesnider.com. I love it when you do. I look forward to hearing from you. Anyway, thank you for listening to my show. Thank you for listening to my Monday night music show, All Your Favorite Band Sucks, every Monday night. I just did Collective Soul this past week, another great fucking band. I love doing that show, gushing over music, similar to how I just gushed about Monty Python. I'm probably going to continue doing some more gushing this weekend. I'm going to do these classic episodes where I'm doing like something that is the coolest geek of all time, like the coolest shit of all time. Like I'm gonna give a full Wednesday episode to that, because it's the Saturday episodes I tend to try to aim to make them like a little shorter, unless I just am feeling it. I'm gonna keep and general reviews, like smaller reviews of a single movie or a single thing. I can keep that to like a half an hour, and it doesn't have to be like the longest thing for to talk about one thing, because I'd rather you guys see it. But for these shows, like where I can talk about a whole breadth of things, like if I come back around and do Star Trek, classic Star Trek, I think that I might actually catch myself up on some Star Trek before I do that one. Monty Python was a little bit easier to jump into and talk about, but there's things that I know I would just love to like try to get you guys into from my perspective, just like here, this is my love for the thing. Maybe try it like this, start like this. Maybe you can get into it too, because there's been things that I've wanted to get into, like Doctor Who, or maybe it was Harry Potter for a little while, even though I eventually kind of got into Harry Potter a bit. That I didn't know where do I start, what do I do? So sometimes you need somebody to help you out. I'm gonna help you along the way. So if I don't feel like there's anything that I really want to like come in and feel like there's like some huge thing that I can offer to the conversation about what's going on, I'm gonna try not to just be like hitting the conversation as it goes. And if there's not something that I feel like really passionate about talking about what's going on in the world of entertainment and geek culture stuff, I'm gonna just talk about shit that matters in our world and should matter to you and would make you so fucking happy if you got turned on to it. So I hope you like hearing that, because that's what I really want to do, and that's what I'm going to try to have this show be going forward. Anyway, I love you guys. I hope you join me again next Wednesday and this coming Saturday for another ass-kicking episode of the Coolest Geek Alive. Me! You've been listening to Coolest Geek Alive with me, your host, Jesse Blaze Snider. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more excellent geek culture content. Thanks for listening.
It's my favorite part! Isn't that heavy? I'll play that! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Coolest alive! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Stay with your tribe! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Revenge of the Geeks! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Week after weeks! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Laughing with you! It's gonna be fucking awesome! And crying sometimes too! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Spelling it out! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Making you shout! It's gonna be fucking awesome. Talking some shit. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Living the shit. My voice gonna be fucking awesome. Foot in our mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Get in the mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Tell all your friends. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Call right on text. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Raising the bar. gonna be fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Just wait. You'll see. You'll all see. You'll all see.